west of the Mississippi. We promise to bring you news, not noise, from the White House to your house. We're bringing you expert analysis and critical conversations from leaders on the front lines and authors that should be on your bookshelf. And with that, it's time for your national news roundup. It's time for the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. And kicking us off, the Washington Post is reporting that the Georgia school shooting suspect struggled with mental health. This is according to their aunt, the 14-year-old arrested after a mass killing at Georgia's Appalachia High School, had been, quote, begging for months for mental health help before he allegedly carried out a deadly attack yesterday. According to his aunt, he was begging for help from everybody around him. The adults around him failed him. Brown, as in Annie Brown, the aunt, who lives in Central Florida, declined to elaborate on the teen's mental health challenges, but said that she tried from afar to get him help. She said his struggles were exacerbated by a difficult home life. He and his family had previous contacts with local child services department. That's according to the director of the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. Brown also said that in January, she helped her nephew enroll at Hammond Morris Middle School in Barrow County so he could finish 8th grade following a period of absenteeism. He had just started the 9th grade at Appalachia High School this year. Law enforcement authorities have confirmed that he was a student at Appalachia, and a spokesperson for the district said that he didn't return comment, but confirmed that he had a prior enrollment history. And so lots of very important details for us to continue to unpack, and we will continue to do that. But this is just another example of these mass shootings and how they're not disconnected, as much as some folks might want you to think that. They're not disconnected from some of the lack of mental health support and mental health services for folks out there. Today, it's Appalachia High School. We pray that tomorrow it is not a high school near you and yours. Moving along, lawmakers are asking the FDA to address tampon safety after this heavy metal study. That's right. NPR is reporting that lawmakers are calling on the U.S. Food and Drug Administration to do more to address concerns about the ingredients in tampons after a study released earlier this summer found that toxic metals were in the product from over a dozen popular brands. Members of the Democratic Women's Caucus called on the FDA to review and improve the current safety standards for tampons in a letter sent to Commissioner Dr. Robert Califf just today. The letter, a copy of which was shared with some sources, was signed by Representatives Summer Lee of Pennsylvania, Grace Ming of New York, and Policy Task Force co-chairs Kathy Manning of North Carolina and Ayanna Pressley of Massachusetts. Safety concerns about tampons and calls for a stronger regulation are not new. More than a dozen studies in recent years have evaluated the presence of various chemicals in widely used menstrual products, including a 2019 study that found that higher concentrations of blood mercury in tampon users. And so what a difference women in leadership can make. Took the Democratic Women's Caucus sending this letter to begin to get the FDA to respond and do more. An FDA spokesperson told sources that the agency, quote, has received the letter and will respond directly to the caucus. We hope that that response means doing something about it. Speaking of another health issue that is important to so many of our leaders, learners, and listeners, Parkinson's may begin with the gut. A study says exactly that, adding to growing evidence. The Washington Post is reporting that this new study adds to a growing body of evidence that Parkinson's disease, long believed to have its origins in the brain, may begin in the gut. Gastrointestinal problems are common in patients with neurodegenerative disorders, to the point where a condition known as institutional colon was once thought of to afflict those who lived in mental health institutions. In Parkinson's disease, the entire gastrointestinal tract is affected, causing complications such as constipation and drooling, trouble swallowing, and delayed emptying of the stomach. These symptoms often appear up to 2 decades before more symptoms such as rigidity or tremor. Uh, so, cheers to medical science. We've been operating under the idea that Parkinson's was simply, a misfiring in the brain, and there's scientific evidence that says quite the contrary. And so, why does that matter? It means that we can better target those really important research dollars to research the things that we know uh, least about, but may make all the difference in our treatment. Moving along, new Paxton lawsuit targets mail-in voter registrations in Texas's Bexar County. The Washington Post is reporting that Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton filed a lawsuit just yesterday against one of the state's largest urban counties to stop lawmakers from using taxpayer dollars to mail thousands of voter registration applications to its unregistered residents. Doesn't that sound outrageous to you? It sounds a little outrageous to me. Despite a warning from the Attorney General, commissioners from Bexar County, home to San Antonio, approved a plan this week to pay Civic Government Solutions to send more than 200,000 forms to residents 1 month before the Texas registration deadline. It is the first time, count up, the first time county leaders have contracted an outside company to send unsolicited registration forms to residents in an effort to boost voter participation. Now, Paxton is seeking an emergency order to block the plan, which he derided as an effort by Democrats to boost their own numbers. He said it will, quote, create confusion, facilitate fraud, undermine confidence in elections, and is illegal. He also argued it will worsen existing voter registration backlogs and that the firm hired has known ties to Democratic causes and candidates. It's according to this lawsuit. Commissioner Justin Rodriguez, who brought the idea to local leaders, said that there was nothing nefarious about being proactive in increasing voter participation. The commissioner's attorney told them that the plan was legal. And so, look, we're heading into the final stretch of the election. We know that every single vote matters in every single state. This conversation is not just about candidates at the top of the ticket that are running for president. It's about candidates up and down the ticket, up and down the ticket. And so that means local school board members. That means district attorneys. That means lots of different roles and offices that play a material difference in our everyday lives. Speaking of our everyday lives, our parents and grandparents or parent and grandparent figures play some role in our lives, perhaps our everyday lives. And when we come forward, I'm really delighted to welcome our next guest, sort of in keeping with our More Perfect Book Club. I'm really delighted to welcome Summer Owens. She's author of 100 Lessons My Centenarian Grandmas Taught Me. We're going to be digging into this new and fabulous book and all of those wonderful lessons, timely lessons, I would say. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580. Tabitha Smiley's new book, The Covenant with Black America, 20 years later, is now on sale everywhere. This classic text shot to #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list almost 2 decades ago. If you have the original book, you will surely want to get this 20th anniversary edition with powerful new contributions from today's leading voices. This 20th anniversary edition presents a compelling blend of historical insights and contemporary urgency in this critical and unprecedented election year. Get your copy of The Covenant with Black America 20 years later today.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
When you're rolling Charmin, don't you knock on the party. It's supposed to roll it back in everybody. And having grace, a crew is always it's our party. So what? Really wanna touch the sky.
Sherman Ultra Soft is irresistibly soft and more absorbent, so you can use less. Enjoy the go with Sherman.
On your period, sudden gushes happen without warning. But now you can say goodbye to stand-up gush fears thanks to Always Ultra Thins with rapid dry technology. It absorbs gushes 2 times faster than the leading store brand and gives you up to 100% leak-free protection. Hello, clean and comfortable with Always Fear No Gush.
This is the story of the one. As a facility technician installing a new welding station, he knows getting the ventilation right is critical for safety. That's why when questions arise, there's Granger. Granger offers detailed technical product information online at his fingertips, so it's easy to find what he needs. Because when it comes to safety, having answers means he and his people can breathe a little easier. Call, click Granger.com, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
You've got a Pepto predicament, Beach Bum.
Hey, we're heading down to the beach. You coming?
Yeah, Dad, you coming?
I had a little too much to eat at the resort buffet. I need a minute. Oh, you overdid it. And now your beach vacation is giving you belly waves. Undo it with Pepto.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Pepto chewables provide fast 5-symptom relief so you can get back to making memories. When you overdo it, undo it with Pepto. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to a More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and happy early National Grandparents' Day to everybody out there. In case you didn't know, Sunday, September 8th is National Grandparents' Day. I'm so glad that they have a special day. I know in preparation for today's conversation, I've been thinking a lot about my grandparents. My grandfathers both passed away before I had a chance to really get to know them. But I grew up getting to know my grandmothers, particularly my maternal grandmother, Addie Mae Thomas, who would be 100 years old in 2026. She is not with us. She has transitioned, but I'm thinking about all the wonderful memories growing up, being in conversation and in community with my grandmothers. And after this conversation, you all might be thinking a lot of the same. Please welcome Summer Owens, author of a fabulous new book, a very timely book, might I say, 100 Lessons My Centenarian Grandmas Taught Me. Welcome to the show, Summer.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, we're so excited to have you. We're so excited about your book. I can't think of the last author that had a book out talking about their centenarian grandmothers. Is that a part of what inspired you to write this?
Well, what inspired me to write this book is the loss of my grandmothers. Both of my grandmothers were a big part of my life and a big part of my journey. And even my very first book, which I published in 2014, which was about my life, or in 2010, I'm sorry, which was about my life. They were a part of my journey and why I am who I am today and where I am today. But I lost them both 5 days apart this year, March 29th and April 3rd. And I was there for their transitions, both of their transitions. But it was during that time as they were transitioning that I recognized how special my situation was. The fact that I knew both of my grandmothers and I knew them well and had lots of great memories with both of them. And I had them for nearly 45 years. I released this book on May 22nd, which was my birthday, my 45th birthday. But as they were transitioning, I knew I had to use the very special situation that I had with them to help other people, which is what I do with everything in my life. So that's what inspired me to write the book, was to be able to grieve my beautiful grandmothers, but also to continue their lives and the legacy of their lives.
I mean, that's really, really, really beautiful. And you know, it's a long book. There's a lot of lessons because obviously they're over 100. But talk to us about how the process that you engaged in to begin to organize those 100 lessons, because, you know, in order to get 100, I suspect that there were a whole lot more that you had. And so, had you been keeping a journal over a period of time? Talk to us about how you came up with this particular set of 100.
Absolutely. So first of all, the reason why it's 100 is because one of my grandmothers lived to be 102. She had just celebrated her 102nd birthday, and the other grandmother passed away just shy of her 98th birthday. So the exact average of their lives was 100 years. So that's where 100 came from. And the lessons, I'm a professional speaker, a mentor and a coach, and a consultant. I specialize in confidence, resilience, leadership, and life. And so that's where I chose the lessons on each of those topics when my grandmothers were living. So 6 and 7 years ago, I wrote books with both of them. So I spent months with each of them telling their stories and writing their stories. And so as I wrote their books with them and their memoirs, I published those. I took lessons. I learned a lot from them. And again, I had 45 years with them. So I observed so much from them. So that's where the lessons came from. I decided to do it based on confidence, resilience, leadership, and life, which are my areas of focus. But the actual lessons came from my observations of my grandmothers and from what they specifically told me as I was writing their stories.
Yeah, I mean, part of what I gathered from reading through your book is that your grandparents seem to be pretty optimistic. I mean, it seemed that a lot of the content sort of borrowed from even the positive psychology discipline. Am I getting that right? Am I right in suspecting
I
a
think
level of
so.
optimism from your grandmamas?
Absolutely. I think they were resilient. I think that was probably the best word to describe them. And they did have to look for the positive in life. Think about the fact that they were both right at 100 years old. Think about this country and what's happened over the last 100 years for Black people, for women, right? And so the things that they've been through and the things that they've experienced, none of us will ever experience. We experience some tough things, but they've experienced a lot throughout their lives. And then, and just in living, like I said, I wrote books with both of them. They both lost children. They've both lost siblings. They've lost their parents. They've lost friends and cousins. They've experienced discrimination. They've just experienced a whole lot. They've experienced molestation and just a whole lot that they have gone through and lived through. But they chose to be positive. They chose to be resilient. They chose to still inspire and teach that to us, being their children and their grandchildren and great grandchildren and great great grandchildren, and then everybody around them. And so my whole platform is so what. I teach people to say so what to whatever challenges you face in life. And so now what? How do you succeed and persevere in spite of those challenges? And I took a whole lot of that from my grandmothers and seeing their lives and again witnessing a lot of what they went through and then hearing about a lot of the things that they experienced and seeing that they moved forward. They both had careers and they both raised families, and I laughed with them. You see on the cover of the book all these pictures of me laughing with them. And those are the things that I will always cherish and remember, that in spite of hurt and pain and everything that they went through, they smiled, they laughed. And that's a beautiful example that I try to live and to teach other people too.
I mean, one of the lessons that you underscore is finding strength in humor. And you talk about incorporating humor into daily life, sharing laughs with others, following humorous content, learning to laugh at yourself, and using humor as a coping mechanism. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so laughter is medicine, right? That's an old saying that I think is very, very true. Laughter is the best medicine. But everybody who knew my grandmothers knew that you could count on a laugh from them. No matter how they were feeling, no matter what they were going through, you could count on them saying something that was funny to get through a tough situation. And so the same is true for me. I take life seriously. I take situations seriously. I have been very focused and determined throughout my life. But you better believe that I'm going to laugh. Even when I'm hurting, I'm going to find some sort of humor in it. And people who I work with, clients I work with, or just friends and family, you can count on a laugh, because there's always something funny in a situation. And if you can laugh and add some levity to a situation, you can usually deal with it better. You can probably find better solutions.
Yeah, and speaking of finding solutions, look, I believe, as do so many of our leaders, learners, and listeners, that you can do a lot of things in life in community. And you talk about this in the book. One of the lessons is building and relying on your community. You talk about engaging regularly in community activities and volunteering your time and skill, and how your grandmother's taught you to initiate and support community projects, as well as attend community meetings, provide input, and operate with reciprocity. That is an incredible lesson to get, let alone to master, way before we turn 100. Talk to us about how you put this particular lesson into practice as you've been out talking about this book.
Absolutely. So I think back to my grandmothers and the lives that they lived, and think about our people and how they had to have community, how they had to share food and had to share resources. And so I think about them and I reflect on their lives. And in my own life, being a teen mom, I had my son when I was 15 years old, but I still graduated from high school. I went off to college, and I had to find a community there too, because my parents weren't there. I had to have support, and I found people to support me, to be babysitters, to help me eat, help him eat. And throughout my life, I've kept that mindset that you have to have other people to survive and to make it. But I also understand and respect the fact that I have to be that to other people. So throughout I serve on several nonprofit boards throughout my life. I'm currently on 3 different boards. I've been president of several boards, and I have my own nonprofit called the So What Foundation, which is a youth nonprofit here in Memphis. But you don't have to be on a board, and you don't have to have a nonprofit to give and to communicate, to be in community and to help the people around you. Like I said, with all the lessons I list tips, 5 tips on how to live the lesson right now. But all you have to do is to get involved, is to see a need and be a part of the need, to attend events, to support people who are doing the work. If you don't know how to do the work, or if you're not capable of doing the work, find people who are and support them. There's so many ways, and it's so easy to help people. I think a lot of people, we overthink things sometimes, but that's how I live that in my life, is I always look for an opportunity to give back.
In about a minute, I'm wondering if you could share with us, a moment where maybe your grandmothers gave conflicting advice, or maybe there was a conflicting lesson. How did you work through that? And whose side did you take?
I can't say that. My grandmothers were, I never had that experience where they gave conflicting advice. They were different in that when I wrote one of their books, my grandma Agnes, she told it all. She put it all out there. The other grandma, my grandma OC, I had to pull a lot out of her. And that, that even taught me about dealing with hurt and pain and trauma and how different people deal with it. One grandma was like, I want to talk all about it. And the other one, it was hard for her to talk about it. And I love and appreciate and respect even that, and the differences in their personalities when it came to that. But never conflicting advice. It's just sometimes differences in personality. But even with that, I am still able to see myself in both of them at different times.
We're talking to Summer Owens, author of 100 Lessons My Centenarian Grandmas Taught Me. You got to go out and get it. You also got to follow Summer on social media and go to summerowens.com to get link to the book and follow her wherever she is. She is on a mission to help us build our confidence, to tap into the resilient leadership that is available to all of us. When we come forward, I want to ask Summer what her grandmothers might think about Vice President Kamala Harris, the Democratic nominee for president. They've seen a lot in their 100 years. I wonder what clues they might offer Summer and all of us as we prepare for the final stretch of election 2024. You're watching and listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Rapper Rich Homie Quan is dead at the age of 34. TMZ reports he died at his home in Atlanta on Thursday. He's known for songs like Type of Way and Lifestyle with Young Thug. His family said they are heartbroken and shattered. New York Attorney General Letitia James is targeting AI this election season, and she wants New Yorkers to know how to recognize and report fake content online. James, who is Black, noted AI can be used to create fake or misleading videos, images, or audio that impersonate people or candidates to spread misinformation. Her office released the Protecting New Yorkers from AI-Generated Election Misinformation Guide, which includes examples of how AI-generated materials can be used by bad actors to spread misinformation and create confusion, even about the locations of polls. New Yorkers are advised not to rely upon chatbots to answer their election questions. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
Bank of America has powerful digital solutions for local and global businesses, so you can make every move matter. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. Bank of America, N.A., copyright 2024.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Magic Johnson has made another addition to his business portfolio. Magic is a new investor with the Washington Spirit, one of the 15 franchises in the National Women's Soccer League. Magic agreed to become a partial owner with majority owner Michelle Kane, who bought the team in 2022 for $35 million. Magic's involvement will likely boost up the value of the franchise. Magic has ownership in the NFL Washington Commanders, the Dodgers, and the LA Sparks in the WNBA. The Dodgers are off today. They're at home tomorrow night against Cleveland. The Angels are at the Texas Rangers tonight to start a 7-game road trip. One of the 4 persons killed Wednesday in that fatal shooting at Appalachia High School in Georgia was an assistant coach for the school's football team. Richard Aspinwall was the team's defensive coordinator. The 39-year-old Aspinwall was married with 2 daughters. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
We must understand the politics of our community, and we must know what part politics play in our lives.
Questions about Black voters, their disengagement, lack of information, and support or lack thereof for Democratic candidates have once again taken center stage as Democrats, Republicans, and independent candidates compete for this critical voting bloc. Will Black voters abandon Democrats in this election, move historic numbers of votes toward the Republican nominee, or will they continue a decades-long trend of overperforming for Democratic candidates up and down the ballot? The stakes have never been higher for Black America. Tune in to KBLA's new show, The Black Pack, hosted by veteran political strategist Adrian Shropshire, every Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. for a breakdown of the issues, rhetoric, polling, and more this election year. It's The Black Pack with Adrian Shropshire, Fridays from 4 to 6 p.m. exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580.
Oh, man. Looks like Bobby needs a ride to the airport again.
Grab the keys. Who's taking Auntie and her friends to the swap meet?
Grab the keys.
How about we drop these boxes off at Miss Johnson?
Grab the keys.
Whether you're giving rides or hauling gear, you're all about getting things done. So do it all in a Chevy SUV. From the versatile Equinox and Sporty Blazer to the roomy Traverse, our lineup of SUVs will carry you through every adventure. All you have to do is
Grab the keys.
That's how we do. Head to your local Chevy dealer, where well-qualified buyers get 1.9% financing on all 2024 Malibu, Colorado, Blazer, Equinox, Trailblazer, and Traverse limited models. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
1.9% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $28.60 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 15.8%. Must finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 7/1/24.
KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment through the arts. Tia Chucha Central Cultural is on a mission to transform community in the Northeast San Fernando Valley and beyond through ancestral knowledge, the arts, literacy, and creative engagement. The Northeast San Fernando Valley has a population of about 500,000, the size of the city of Oakland, yet it has no bookstores, art galleries, or full-fledged cultural spaces until Tia Chucha's opened its doors in 2001. Founded by renowned poet and activist Luis Rodriguez, Tia Chucha's Cultural Center provides a year-round free or low-cost arts and literacy bilingual intergenerational programming in mural painting, music, dance, writing, visual arts, healing art sessions, and healing talking circles. Activities also include Mexica, Aztec dance, indigenous cosmology, philosophy, and 2 weekly open mic nights, one in Spanish, the other in English. In addition, they host author readings, film screenings, and art exhibits. To express yourself, heal yourself, attend an event, or volunteer, please visit www.tiachucha.org. That's TIACHUCHA.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where everybody is somebody and nobody is a stranger. You belong here.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and really delighted to be in conversation with my fellow author, Summer Owens. Summer is the author of a really cool book. It's a nice little break from the rough and tumble of politics, especially this election cycle. The name of that book is 100 Lessons My Centenarian Grandmas Taught Me. Really great bedside reading, I would say.
I appreciate that. And I have to hold the book up because this is my baby. This is my latest baby. And before you went to the break, you talked about the election. And I know you're going to get into it. I wanted to say the other reason why I wrote this book because I wanted to turn grief into something great. And not only did I want to share my grandmother's lives and the legacy of their lives, but I wanted to share what I have. And that's a tremendous respect for elders, a tremendous respect for the wisdom of elders. And I wanted to help young people. And young could be as young as my grandchildren. I'm glad you shouted out Grandparents' Day. I have grandchildren. Or as old as me and a little bit older. Because I think that respect for the wisdom of elders is fading or has faded a whole lot. And I wanted to restore that. And so in writing this book, that was something that I really wanted to do. And I took it a step further. And I even created a curriculum. So there's a curriculum that goes with this book. Yep. There's a curriculum that goes with this book to help people who work with young people to understand and appreciate and respect the wisdom of elders and to connect with elders in a different way. And that's available on the landing page for this. It's 100 Lessons My Grandma's Taught Me. That curriculum is $1. $1. It's a free download curriculum where it's $1, which is essentially free. $1. And the proceeds from the sale of that curriculum go to the scholarship that I established in the names of my grandmothers, Agnes Owens and O.C. Williams Memorial Scholarship. And so, again, that's what I want to do. My grandma's taught me so much about it. So I have the curriculum now, and we have that scholarship to help their legacies and their lives to live on. And so, yeah, that's me, and that's what I do full time. As I work with young people, have other curriculum in schools, literacy, life skills, and character education curriculum that's in schools all over the country. Just trying to make an impact on our youth to help them read more, read better, and understand themselves and understand others. So it's been powerful. It's been really powerful.
It's been powerful, and you're powerful. I mean, this when we launched this series this summer, A More Perfect Book Club, you were exactly the kind of author that we had in mind. Folks that are really punching above their weight class, and I love that line, turning grief into something great. I can totally relate to that. When I recently wrote my book, since we flash in books, I recently wrote my book, Kamala, the Motherland, and Me, which is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, everywhere books are sold. I I was thinking a lot about my father, who grew up in Ghana, and especially when we were on the ground there, and thinking about so many of our ancestors who directly and indirectly sort of poured into us and shaped us, and quite frankly, were possibility models for us. And so, talk to us about the ways in which your grandmamas were possibility models for you when you needed them most.
I love that. I love that. And I had a chance to go to Ghana. I spent 2 weeks in Accra. That was powerful for me too. I sat with both of my grandmothers and talked about that experience that they never had. But yes, possibility role models. It's amazing that you even said that or asked that question, because as I was in Ghana, it was just amazing. I felt really, really overwhelmed. As you probably already know and have experienced as well. And I talked to them about their lives and what they didn't do and what they couldn't do. What they couldn't do. One of my grandmothers even had to drop out of school to take care of her several younger brothers and sisters. And both of them struggled. They had a hard time. And as you can imagine, living in the time that they did. And so more than anything, though, they showed me the things that were challenging for them. One of my grandmothers actually did go off to college, even though she had a child like I did as a teenager. She showed me and demonstrated still going off to college, and still finishing her career or going off into career. Both of them were nurses, and showing what was possible, even when times are hard, even when they had no money, even when they had very little support. And so I ended up in a situation as a teen mom, having very little money, very little support, but still determination. And that was what they showed me, is that if you want to do something, you can do it. It doesn't matter what resources you have, you make a way and you figure it out. And that has been what I've done throughout my entire life. And it is because of what they showed me. And that's why I want to honor them all the time for as long as I possibly can, because they were able to show me that. But again, I wanted to take it a step further because my grandmothers were amazing. They were absolutely amazing. But do you know how many amazing grandmothers and grandfathers and elderly people who may not even have grandchildren are in this world? We need to honor and respect all of them and take all the wisdom that we can possibly get from them into our own lives and into our children's lives and our grandchildren's lives, so that we can make this world a better place.
Well said, and bravo. I'm sure your grandmothers are smiling down upon you. What an incredible way to honor them. I mean, not just the book, right, which is 100 lessons. I mean, it's easy to do 5 lessons, 10 lessons. You did 100 lessons. And then on top of that, building a curriculum that's available. People go to your website, not just summerowens.com, but what's the other website they should go
to? It's 100 lessons my grandma's taught me.
That's right. And so if they go to that, they can get that. Before we let you go, Summer, I've got to get your take on what your grandmothers might think about our Democratic nominee for president. Speaking of determination and preparation, we know that Vice President Harris is engaged in debate prep right now. Really making history as the first Black woman, first woman of South Asian descent to become the Democratic nominee, to have this unity coalition that seems to be encompassing her and lifting up her campaign, perhaps to victory. What might your grandmothers think about this particular moment in world history?
I actually am very emotional even as I answer this question, because I think about the conversations that I've had with them. And again, all the presidents they've seen, all that they've experienced in life because of the presidents and the decisions that the presidents have made throughout their lives, right? And to think about what they did witness in our country from the decisions of our presidents while they were living, and more recent ones, right? And so I think about how proud they would be to see a woman who looks like them, a woman, first of all, right? And someone of a minority, and how proud they were, even with President Barack Obama, that's something they never thought that they would ever see in their lives. And this is something I'm sure they never thought that they would see. And they weren't able to witness any of this, but they would be extremely proud. But I think most importantly, they know the necessity of this, because what is she saying? We're not going back. We're not going back. And back is where they were, where my grandmas lived, what they experienced, what they went through, what they endured. So they would be very, very proud and fighting just like we all are, because they don't want to go back. We don't want to go back. And it's just a beautiful thing. It's just a beautiful thing to be able to see the possibility and really what's necessary for our country so that we don't go back. But yeah, my grandmas, they'd be very, very proud.
I mean, just hearing you share that is a stirring reminder that it's not just us going in to cast our ballot, that we carry our ancestors with us. We carry their hopes, we carry their dreams, we carry the baton. And so what a lovely reminder of exactly that. My thanks to Summer Owens, author of 100 Lessons My Centenarian Grandmas Taught Me. Go out and get it. And while you're at it, to all the teachers and professors out there, go out and get that curriculum. It's only $1. Now, Summer, I would petition you to add a 0 or 2 because that is very valuable IP, very valuable information. But
well, I'll tell you, I have another whole other curriculum. It's the literacy, life skills, and character education curriculum that has more dollars on it. But this one is symbolic, and it's 100. And just excited to get it out there and honor my grandmas.
Well, you are certainly doing that, and we're so glad you decided to share that story with us. Our thanks to Summer Owens. Go out and get her book. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. The quiet part out loud when we come forward. Thank you, Summer.
Thank you.
A safe place to go loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer whenever I want? Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. 94% of Sleep Number smart sleepers report better sleep. And now, during our biggest sale of the year, save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed, plus free home delivery on select smart beds when you add any base. Ends Labor Day. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
Mom, meet Sarah.
From first time Nana moments.
Welcome to Flight 101.
To annual girls trip moments. Your can't miss moments are worth protecting against RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV. And there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com.
So where should we go next?
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Tips to help improve basic steps for building a budget in 2024. Building a budget can help you achieve and reach your financial goals. With a budget, you can keep track of your spending, avoid and get out of debt, limit overspending, pay bills on time, and build solid savings habits. What's the best way to get started? Figure out how much to set aside for expenses like rent, mortgage, bills, groceries, and entertainment. Understanding your past financial habits can help you make the proper adjustments for your budget. Adjusting to a budget can take time as you work to find the right balance, but keep working on it. For more financial health tips, visit chase.com or stop by a local branch. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase & Company.
The moment we've all been waiting for has finally arrived. On Tuesday, September 10th at 6 p.m. Pacific Time, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump will square off in their first ever presidential debate. KBLA Talk 1580 and the Empowerment Congress are hosting a viewing party, and we're inviting you to join us for an evening of civic engagement, great food, and good vibes. Our studio space is limited, but if you would like to join us, just go to our website at kbla1580.com and register for your chance to watch this historic presidential debate with us. Years from now, we're all likely to remember exactly where we were when this pivotal moment in American politics unfolded. So, register for your chance to join us by going to kbla1580.com right now. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your flag.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
When you're rolling Charmin up on the party, it's supposed to roll it back at everybody. And having nice, a crew is always it's our party body. Please say what chicks be so what? Everybody wanna touch the guy.
Charmin Ultra Soft is irresistibly soft and more absorbent, so you can use less. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
On your period, sudden gushes happen without warning. But now you can say goodbye to stand-up gush fears thanks to Always Ultra Thins with rapid dry technology. It absorbs gushes 2 times faster than the leading store brand and gives you up to 100% leak-free protection. Hello, clean and comfortable with Always Fear No Gush.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate meets a scholarly match.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey. And wasn't that Summer Owens? Wasn't she amazing? I really enjoyed talking to her. Y'all be sure to go out there and pick up her book. It is great bedtime reading. That's what I found. I had a chance to thumb through it last night as I was preparing for this conversation. And it just takes you down memory lane, makes you think about your grandmothers and your grandfathers and, you know, our ancestors whose wisdom still continues to live through us. The book is called 100 Lessons My Centenarian Grandmas Taught Me. And so if you are able, hug your elders today. Give them a hug. Let them know you appreciate them, right? Let them know that it matters that they're still here. And let them know, more importantly, that you're still listening. How about that? And speaking of listening, it's time for the quiet part out loud. Yeah, the quiet part out loud. One of my favorite parts of the show. And you know, there's lots to talk about the election cycle and, you know, Kamala Harris versus Trump and all of that, the history that's being made, the unity coalition that's coming together. And speaking of history, NPR is reporting that political opponents, Harris and Vance, they show Americans modern and interfaith marriages, right? We've been talking a lot about, you know, gender and race, but there are a lot of firsts that are afoot this election cycle. At the Democratic National Convention, Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff wanted to show another side of his wife. Emhoff is Jewish and Harris is Christian. He said that she attends high holiday services with him and he attends Easter services with her. And he said that they share their food traditions. As a national prayer breakfast in 2022, or at a national prayer breakfast in 2022, Harris talked about the values that she's grown up with in church in Oakland, California, hey, Bay Area. And why is this important? Well, one home, different faiths. A growing number of Americans are part of an interfaith relationship. So not just interracial, but interfaith relationships, a reality that is also reflected in the candidates on both major party presidential tickets this year. You see, on the Republican ticket, the vice presidential nominee, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, is also in an interfaith marriage. Vance spoke about his relationship at an event hosted by the Conservative Faith and Freedom Coalition on the day after he had addressed the Republican National Convention in July. Vance said that he was motivated to rediscover his faith as he thought about how to become a better husband and father, saying, quotes, "It's funny, my wife, despite not being raised Christian herself, she made this observation to me when our son was about a year old and I started going to church. And she said, you know, this isn't really my thing, but I don't have a background in this. But there's something about becoming Christian that's really good for you." Vance was raised loosely Christian and was baptized Roman Catholic in 2019. His wife, Usha was raised Hindu. And so, just a moment to celebrate the history that's being made on both sides of the ticket. We certainly know that there are a lot of differences between Harris Walls and Trump Vance. But one of the things that makes both of these tickets very similar is the history that's being made with the faith background of the couples that are represented on the ticket. And so I thought that was worth noting. If anybody says that, oh, wow, I haven't heard anything that's really bipartisan on A More Perfect Union lately, here it is. Here it is. Don't play me, play yourself. Moving along, speaking of history, USA Today is reporting that historian who accurately predicted 9 of the last 10 presidential elections makes his 2024 pick. Alan Lichtman, the historian who correctly predicted the outcomes of, count them, 9 out of the 10 most recent presidential elections, has made his guess of who will reclaim the White House this year. Spoiler alert! It's Vice President Kamala Harris. Lichtman said in a video first reported by the New York Times that he based his prediction on 13 keys or big picture true-false questions that tap into the strength and performance of the White House party. You might be wondering what those 13 keys are. The keys include whether the White House party gained House seats during the midterm elections, in which case we know Democrats did. The sitting president is running for re-election. Well, not quite. The White House party is avoiding a primary contest. Okay, we passed that. The short-term economy is strong. Look, people are feeling the effects of inflation, but still, when you look at the jobs numbers, when you look at other key economic factors, the economy is stronger than a lot of other economies around the world. The long-term economic growth has been as good as the last 2 terms. All right. The White House party has made major changes to national policy. Another key is there is sustained social unrest during the term. Another key, the White House is untainted by scandal. The incumbent party is charismatic. And the last 4 keys is that the challenger is uncharismatic. The incumbent is charismatic. And the White House party has a major failure in foreign policy, or the White House party has foreign policy success. And so 8 of the keys are in favor of Harris, while 3 are in favor of Trump. Foreign policy is tricky, and these keys could flip. The Biden administration is deeply invested in the war in Gaza, which is a humanitarian disaster with no end in sight. But even if both foreign policy keys flip false, that would mean that there were only 5 negative keys, and that would not be enough for Donald Trump to regain the White House. And so that is a prediction that's being made by a historian. But I have a feeling that the Harris Walls campaign is going to continue to run this campaign like they are 10 points behind. They are taking no vote for granted. And while I'm sure flattering, folks have got to roll up their sleeves and work to make it true on either side of the aisle. So we'll have to leave it there. My thanks to the entire village that helps us produce A More Perfect Union each and every day. Our executive producer, Tavis Smiley, our sound engineer, Miles Lowe, our show producer, Robert Battles, and our podcast publishing guru, Odell Bodie. Go out and subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast, powered by KBLA Talk 1580, and never miss an episode. And while you're at it, remember, don't panic, organize. Do what you can from where you are with what you have. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and you've been streaming and listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 15.